Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Knock Real here at the Monarchi de Leblon. It's close to the Vidigal favela. It's just a beautiful view though. So I want to do a small talk really quick on taking criticism as a music artist, as a producer, as an artist. It's really important. It's like how do you take criticism? Who do you take criticism from? How do you know when to believe somebody? How do you know when they're just a hater? Um, it's not an easy thing because as an artist, your art form is very important to you. Like Erykah Badu said, you're gonna be sensitive about it. But at a certain level, you do have to listen to criticism. You have to listen to what people say. You have to listen to them saying, "Hey, you can improve in this area." So I think the number one thing you should look for is, okay, what does the criticism come with? Does it come with any advice on, or any suggestions or ideas about what you could actually change, or is it going to come with, just a frowned up face and no real suggestion on what could be better? So there's a lot of circumstances where you're going to come across constructive criticism, whether it's comments on the internet, or other people that at your shows or after your shows, you're going to get those kind of comments, and you want to know how to separate that. So what you're really looking for is, what you really want is a mentor, somebody who can walk you through, somebody who doesn't have a vested interest in hating on you, somebody who doesn't have a vested interest in making sure that you're not successful. Find somebody who's neutral and ask them, what does my music sound like? What do you think I can improve on? What do you hear that's not working for me, or how am I doing? And you take that advice, and everything that you're told, you don't have to internalize. You can actually take some of that information and other information discard it. But a lot of artists just can't take criticism. They're really sensitive about what people say about their music, and they're not able to actually take the criticism when it's delivered, and that's hurtful to their career because not everybody's built to be an artist, and so they're wasting time. They're wasting time not following their true passion, trying to be a star when in actuality stardom is not in the cards for you. Now, with the advent of the internet and being able to put yourself out there, what we're finding though is that traditional artistry is not necessarily the only artistry that sells. So if you put it out, there's going to be somebody who wants to buy what you're selling. So don't always take the advice that you shouldn't be an artist as true, because in the world of the internet, people buy everything. So I know dudes that buy feet pics from girlfriends of mine. So hey, dudes will buy anything. So there's a space for you, but just make sure that the quality that you're putting out is acceptable for what you're doing. If you're going to be a trap artist, your beats need to sound like trap artist beats. Your rhyme and your cadence and your flow needs to sound like trap artist sound. You have to kind of be within the genre. You're not going to change the whole world. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're going to have to be within a certain parameter to be accepted, if that's what you want. If you don't want acceptance, don't worry about it. You don't have to take any of the criticism at all. But there are certain times when you need somebody who can actually teach you, and who can actually give you great advice. I can tell you a quick story. I had a group that was coming through my studio. They were called Fed Up Records. And this group was really unique. It was very interesting. The interesting thing about them was that there was probably about 6 members of the group, original members of the group, and then there were all these fringe individuals, like about 10 other people that were kind of fringe artists that weren't necessarily in the group, but they did songs with the groups, they did features on their albums. Everybody could do their own album because everybody was really unique. They all had their own unique voices. They all had talent to rap. It was like Wu-Tang of the South. And so they were very instrumental in me having success in my studio, because with that, when Jay Reddy came, Jay Reddy actually ended up working from MTV too. So when he came through, he was like, yo, like, you got the studio, you got everything we need or whatever like that. I'm gonna bring my people through. So I didn't realize like he was bringing so many, but from there, it's like the studio just grew and grew and grew and grew. because these guys did shows. They actually did a CD in my studio. They paid for like a month at night. So I told them, hey, you pay one fee. You have the studio at night. You can work as much as you want. My guy Alfred, AJ Platinum, who's produced for Jeezy and a bunch of other artists for Def Jam and stuff like that. Those guys would come in at night and just work in the studio for a whole month. They finished up a CD. They pressed up 1,000 copies. They went to, I don't know if it's Black Beach or what it was in Daytona Beach. And in 2 days, they sold 1,000 copies of their CD, $10 a piece. They made 10 grand in 2 days. So they had a lot of talent. And so what happened was, through some other janky person, I met a Grammy-winning DJ. And he had just won a Grammy for his DJ. I think it was EDM or something like that. And so he was looking for artists or whatever. He ends up coming to my studio. This person that I don't believe for nothing because they lie about everything was like, yo, I know this guy and he's going to come through the studio or whatever like that. He's looking for artists to sign. I was like, okay, cool. So he comes through the studio and I'm like, yo, I got this group or whatever. Boom. Like they're really cool. Check them out. They're like Wu-Tang of the South. Everybody can do solo projects as well as group projects together. They're selling a few CDs. And so he came through and he fell in love with them. So, the crazy thing about it is like, okay, so now you've got all these people that are in the group. You've got a lot of different ideas. You've got a lot of desires and wants. You've got, we had people in the studio talking about, if this guy don't get us signed or whatever in 3 months, he can go away. He could just walk away. We'll walk away. We don't know him and he doesn't know us. And they kind of told him that instead of having somebody who is like a real manager to speak for them. That's kind of how they treated this guy. But he was great. This guy was really great. So he actually, we were looping up some samples and things like that he was producing for them. And he had some guitars and stuff that we tried to loop, and we just couldn't loop the guitar off the record. And he's like, don't worry about it. I know this guy. I know the guy who played on this record. This record is from like the 1970s too. And he's like, I know the guy who played this guitar part on this record. And when we get to Fort Lauderdale or whatever, we're going to record it. I'll just have him come in and play I'll just have him come play it. And he did it. So, you know what I'm saying? So when they got to Fort Lauderdale or whatever like that, like he literally had this dude come in and play the actual sample with his guitar. So it wasn't even a sample, the dude actually played it. So like, this is the level the dude was on, but they treated the guy like, hey, if you don't get me a deal, you don't get us a deal in 3 months, and we don't know you and you don't know us. And that's how it ended. So sometimes you need a mentor. You need somebody who can kind of say, hey, this is what you guys should do. This is what, you should listen to people sometimes. They were talking about, oh, well, if the label's not going to give us $1 million a piece, we're not signing. And I'm like, well, you haven't sold any records. You sold a few, but you haven't sold a lot of records. You don't have that kind of credibility yet in the industry. So, you can't make that type of demand. So, it didn't end very well for them. There was some incarceration involved with, a group member and who was kind of a leader in the group and all that type of stuff that kind of derailed it. But I mean, everybody's doing great now. I don't know if everybody's in the music industry. I haven't kept up with everybody, but a lot of them are still doing their music. They're kind of doing their thing or whatever. And, it's important. It's important that you accept criticism. It's important that you accept advice, because if you can't accept criticism and you can't accept advice, you're not going to go far in this industry. You got to have mentors. You got to have people who are going to tell you the truth and who are going to treat you, care for you, but at the same time tell you the truth. There's a lot of people, I hear a lot of artists and things like that. They're just not ready yet, and they're doing these big things. They're putting things out there on YouTube and on SoundCloud and all these places, whatever. They think they're ready and they're not. And if you tell them, they're not ready to accept that. But everybody's a work in progress. I've been producing for a long, long time, but sometimes I feel like I'm not ready. Sometimes I feel like what I was doing wasn't great. So, but I look to my friends to tell me the truth. So I'm going to leave it there. I only got about 30 seconds left. My favorite motto is, if I do it, I might fail, or it might fail. But if I don't do it, I'm definitely going to fail. So I just want to leave you with the good word for today. Everything's about positivity. Once again, it's your boy Knock Real. Check out the Producer Review podcast. I love doing these little small talks for you guys. Hopefully you're getting some good information out of it. Hopefully you love the view here today. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.